It looks to be the beginning of a lovely day, Holmes. There's nothing like beginning the week with a sunny Monday, with nothing more pressing to do than to see what came in the post. Would you care to take a ride up the Thames today?
I think not, Watson.
Listen, Holmes, your mood has been getting progressively worse for the past 2 weeks. I know you, and I am certain that something is bothering you. It wouldn't be bad news from Switzerland, would it?
We would already be on a boat heading towards the continent were that the case, my dear Watson.
Very well, then what is it? Let me guess. For the past 2 weeks, the papers have talked of nothing other than this French thief, Arsène Lupin. He's been making all of the police officers on the continent look like complete idiots. You're taking an obvious pleasure out of reading these articles.
My dear Watson.
I've put my finger on it, haven't I? I know you well. Something tells me that you will not entertain talk of this Lupin for some time. Do you recall his latest feat? Using an alias, he seduced a young Italian princess in order to rob her of a priceless set of diamond jewellery that once belonged to the Medici. These jewels were to be part of the lady's dowry on the occasion of her marriage to the son of a wealthy, influential Sicilian. Finally, our friend, having committed his crime, left word for the local press, explaining that there was no other way for the charming lass to escape a marriage of convenience with, I quote, an uncultivated and uncouth boor without the least refinement. Since then, the lady has been confined to a convent, and rumour has it that the two outraged fathers have jointly offered a sum of countless millions of liras for the head, the rest of the body being optional, of the man who is responsible for their dishonour. Are you acquainted with the reputation of the Italian criminal milieu? Why, another letter from the zoo about those missing birds, as if we were going to be running around the whole of London chasing chickens. As I was saying, are you acquainted with the reputation of the Italian criminal milieu? This Arsène Lupin must be in hiding somewhere, surrounded by bottles of champagne and stolen treasures. How foolhardy and arrogant. Oh, these French. However, he didn't pursue this foolishness to the point of risking stepping onto British soil.
Has the cat got your tongue, Watson? What? Whatever is the matter with you, Watson? Pray tell.
This letter on the table. Holmes, read it. Holmes, this is truly unbelievable. Surely this cannot be taken seriously.
It's possible, Watson, that this letter is nothing but a prank. However, a small chance exists that both the challenge and the threat are real.
What will you do?
First, I'm going to enjoy the breakfast Mrs. Hudson has prepared. If you would be so good, Watson, as to clarify some of the riddles in the letter. Firstly, if Arsène Lupin is actually the author, as he states, why does he sign with another name? When it comes to the poem, even if an answer seems straightforward, we must be quite certain. What would the target of tonight's theft be if this letter turns out to be accurate? We have 1 day to find the solution and to take preventative measures. You could go see Barnes, the bookstore in Glentworth Street. Surely they'll have something that will be informative.
Holmes's violin. Holmes's table for experiments. A motley collection. Ooh, the adventure of the dancing men, I recall. Treaty on Cornish, the Celtic language of the Cornish people. And here, medieval pottery. Holmes has an interesting taste in reading. It was in this statue that we found the famous black pearl of the Borgias.
I am not ready yet, Watson.
My eccentric companion keeps his shag tobacco in the toe of this Persian slipper. Colonel Gordon. It was during the affair of the lodger in treatment. The Reichenbach Falls. What an awful memory. This is how Holmes organises his correspondence that is awaiting responses. If only his clients saw that. What? This accursed statue is still here? I have asked Mrs. Hudson to remove it for us. Poor Barnes should hire a cleaning lady. Oh, what a mess.
Gnithruth, Kudwilm, Lizrit, Sublilha.
Good day, Barnes.
Hello? Dr. Watson? How are you? I didn't hear you enter.
Are you busy? Am I disturbing you?
Not at all. I was researching, but if you came to see me, it must be that you're looking for something specific. Perhaps I can help you?
A very strange affair, bewildering even, has brought me to see you. An affair involving a Spanish cape and a one-eyed, one-armed man.
Most certainly. You will find the works dealing with naval history on one of the shelves somewhere.
Thank you. I'll go look. Ah, here's my book, The Great English Sailors. As it happens, I found this book, and
Excuse me, my dear Dr. Watson, but I am in need of tranquility.
Well, farewell, Barnes.
Now tell me, Watson, what progress have you made? Have you found the meaning of the mysterious signature?
It's an anagram, Holmes. The letters in Arsino Lotino can be used to spell out Horatio Nelson.
That's a welcome confirmation. No doubt the target for the theft is somehow connected with the Battle of Trafalgar, won by Admiral Lord Nelson at the expense of the French. Nelson, who lost an eye and an arm in battle, has a statue high atop a column in Trafalgar Square. It says that the object of the theft is sitting at his master's feet. There's nothing to steal on this column. We have a map of London here somewhere. Let's see if we can find a site of interest near Trafalgar Square.
Ha! I found it at last. The map of London.
So, according to you, what is there to steal in Trafalgar Square? Show me on the map, Watson.
The only location visible is the National Gallery of Painting, which faces the column.
Why not? Our man wants to steal a painting, but which one? Watson, shall we head out? Let's take a tour of the National Gallery. While you find us a hansom, I'll send a message to Lestrade to have him join us.
Holmes's sidearm. A scandal in Bohemia. Holmes's very first adventure. But why is he keeping this journal? Holmes is not the type to archive his past adventures. Holmes's makeup and accessories. With the help of this, his disguises are very impressive. To think that this statue saved Holmes's life during the adventure of the empty house. Ah, Lamb, good timing. Can you give myself and my friend Sherlock a lift?
With pleasure, Dr. Watson. The mistress, Miss Bromsby, gave me the day off. I'll wait for you.
So, Holmes, what are we doing?
We're not here to visit the museum, young man. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson.
Sherlock Holmes, the famous detective?
Indeed, I have reason to believe that a theft is being planned that will take place here, perhaps as early as today.
A robbery?
I'm not certain, but there is a good reason to believe that is the case. We have contacted Inspector Lestrade at Scotland Yard, and he should be joining us momentarily. Meanwhile, rest assured that we are here in an official capacity. In the meantime, you can certainly help us. One of the paintings will play a part in the matter, but I don't yet know exactly which one. I do, however, have a few clues that should tell something to a specialist like yourself.
Ah, yes, of course. As it happens, I've only been working here for 3 days. Actually, I'm an apprentice, and my duties here are essentially administrative.
pray tell, would I be correct in deducing that the elder of the two men that we can see up there is the director of the museum?
Yes, that is Sir Pointer. He could certainly assist you better than I, but at the moment he's terribly occupied and will be for some time.
But the location that you are proposing is unworthy of my work. All of my pieces are hymns to color and light. It's the very stars, the sun that you want to extinguish.
Please understand, dear sir, the entrance hall is reserved for temporary exhibitions. We are able to add more lighting.
In that case, you would have to provide lanterns across the whole length of the ceiling, and to use the most refined oil possible. Definitely not gas. And mirrors to reflect the light, along with some canvases in basic colors to bring out the contrasts.
We will do all that we possibly can.
Nevertheless, I insist that a number of my works must be on the main floor next to the large pieces.
But our rooms are already full and, as you know, each has its specific subject. Too much modernism?
How can there be too much modernism? Modernism doesn't exist. Only art exists. Art is timeless. Art is cosmic.
Well, sir, perhaps we should continue this conversation in my office.
Then you must certainly have a ledger of the works that are shown in the museum, with a description of each painting.
Yes, Sir Pointer entrusted it to my care this morning so I could familiarize myself with the collection, but I lost it. I know I make a rather feeble archivist, but while I was doing a tour of the museum, the painting that Mr. Pointer is now dealing with arrived, along with cases full of canvases that he had to quickly inventory.
The case of the missing ledger. What do you make of it, Watson? Listen, Mr.
Palinor, sir.
Palinor, my friend and I will make our way through the museum in order to find the ledger. If you lost it while touring the museum and it wasn't back on the desk, then it must be in one of the galleries. Stay here and we will return to see you when we have found it, and not a word of it to the director.
Certainly, sir. With many thanks. I will continue to do my inventory and await you.
Tell me, young man, would you happen to have a blueprint of the building in order to facilitate the task at hand?
Ah, yes. Where did I put it? Oh, yes, here it is.
Farewell, Palinor. The Gallery of Italian Works. Ah, Venice, La Serenissima. This one from 1740 by Canaletto. St. Catherine of Alexandria by Raphael, painted around 1507, one of the greatest Italian painters and architects of the High Renaissance. Painting by Lorenzo Lotto, born around 1480, died in 1556 or 7, has a very idiosyncratic style. Adoration of the Kings by Botticelli, bought by the National Gallery in 1878. Must you see it to believe? The Incredulity of St. Thomas, master of the work, Battista Giovanni Cima, born around 1459. St. Catherine of Alexandria, painted by Carlo Crivelli, bought as part of the Prince Anatole Demidov collection in 1868. The Origin of the Milky Way, painted around 1575 and bought in 1890 by the National Gallery, executed by Jacopo Robusti, known as Tintoretto, which comes from tintore, as his father was a dyer. At least his business was merely dyeing and not death. A painting by Veronese, the family of Darius before Alexander. Canvas by Orazio Gentileschi, 1563 to 1639, Baroque painter influenced by Caravaggio. His daughter Artemisia became a painter in her own right. Portrait of a young man in red by Domenico Ghirlandaio. This painting was executed between 1480 and 90 and is on loan. A study by Tiepolo. The Trojans bring the Greek horse into their city, causing their own ruin. Thus it's best to beware of certain gifts. The Virgin of the Rocks. Famous canvas painted between 1491 and 1508 by Leonardo da Vinci. Multidisciplinary man. Artist, scientist, inventor and humanist philosopher. He transformed art into the complex style of the High Renaissance. His scientific and artistic method proceeded from a preliminary accumulation of detailed observations, of knowledge dispersed here and there, all with perfection as the objective.
You speak of yourself, Holmes?
This painting depicts the gods Venus and Mars by Botticelli. This painting was exhibited for the first time in 1874 in the National Gallery. Saint Catherine of Alexandria by Antonio de Salario in 1514, originally part of a triptych. The Assassination of Saint Peter Martyr, painted around 1507 by Giovanni Bellini, a forerunner of the Venetian school. The Supper at Emmaus, where the resurrected Jesus appears to his disciples, painted by Caravaggio, 1571 to 1610. He was a master of chiaroscuro, and the Caravaggism movement was named after him. The Flemish artists are found here. A work by David Teniers, the Younger. Rubens, The Judgment of Paris. What a dilemma. Paris had to choose between one of the three divinities, Venus, Juno or Minerva, and anger the other two in the process.
There was nothing to it but choose all three.
Peace and War. Rubens, the Old Master, painting probably executed in 1629 or 30, illustrating the hopes for peace between England and Spain, the painter's mission at the time. Rubens was, in effect, also a diplomat. Peasants at Archery. David Teniers the Younger, 1610 to 1690. Baroque, I would say. Portrait of a Man, canvas loaned to the museum, work of an unknown artist, dating between 1645 and 1655. Canvas painted around 1620, unknown artist from the Flemish school. Portrait of a boy holding a rose, around 1660 and attributed to François de Chastel, a Flemish painter. A family group by González Cox. Hearing, canvas by González Cox. He earned his nickname Little Van Dyke through the elegance of his paintings. Look, a white horse standing by a sleeping man by Peter Verbeek, possibly derived from a 1652 print by Paulus Potter. Sight, portrait of Robert van der Hoek by González Cox between 1614 and 1618, died in 1684. A Sunset by Rubens, one of the greatest Baroque painters of the 17th century and in the history of painting in general. Van Dyck in person. This artist had a huge influence on English portraitists. He is considered to be the creator of the English school of painting. Lady Elizabeth Thimbleby and Viscountess Andover by Van Dyck. The Balby Children by Van Dyck, 1599 to 1641. Dutch Gallery. A beach scene with fishermen by Ludolf Bascoysen, 1630 or 31 to 1708. The Swearing of the Oath of Ratification, painted by Gerard Terborch, born in Zwolle in December of 1608 and died the 8th of December 1681. A coast scene, Jan van de Capelle, Amsterdam 1626 to 1679. A river scene with a Dutch yacht by Van der Capelle. An architectural fantasy painted by Van der Heyden. painting by Rembrandt, the sum of his works inspired Baudelaire to write Rembrandt's Sad Hospital Full of Murmurs. Self-portrait at the age of 63 by Rembrandt, the year of his death. The painter affirmed, "I do not paint the man, I paint the passage." Jacob van Ruysdael, 1628 or 9 to 1682, one of the major landscape artists of Dutch golden age of the 17th century. A young woman seated at a virginal, painted by Vermeer, Dutch painter of the 17th century. A canvas by Gerard ter Borch, Dutch subject and portrait painter, influenced by Velázquez. View of the Westerkerk, Amsterdam, painted by Jan van der Heyden, probably in 1660. A terrible naval battle scene by Ludolf Bashuizen. Willem van de Velde, a Dutch painter who dedicated his talent to the sea. A work by Jan Steen, painter of the Dutch school, a moralist. A winter scene with skaters near a castle by Averkamp, 1585 to 1634, one of the greatest painters from the Dutch school of the 17th century. He specialized in winter scenes. The painting originally extended into a square shape. The countryside, painted by Salomon van Ruysdael. Born in the first few years of the 17th century, died 1670. It makes you want to rest for a moment. Dutch Gallery. English Painters Hall. Lord Heathfield of Gibraltar by Sir Joshua Reynolds, 1723 to 1792, one of the greatest portrait artists of his time. Self-Portrait by William Turner, born in 1775, extraordinary English painter. Lady Coburn and Her Three Eldest Sons by Sir Reynolds. Queen Charlotte, painted by Sir Thomas Lawrence, an 18th century painter. A canvas by Sir Reynolds. Colonel Tarleton, hero of the British forces during the American War of Independence. Dr. Ralph Schomburgk by Thomas Gainsborough, 1727 to 1788. John Constable. He managed to turn a boring part of England into a place you'd almost want to visit. A canvas by William Turner, the painter of light. Margate from the Sea by William Turner. Here we have a precursor to Impressionism. A magnificent landscape by Gainsborough. Thomas Gainsborough, one of the most famous English portrait and landscape painters. Mr. and Mrs. Andrews by Gainsborough, an unfinished painting. An unrivaled landscape artist, he was obliged to do portraits in order to earn a living. The Evening Star by William Turner, the graceful transitional moment between day and night. Sun Rising Through Vapor by William Turner. 40 years before Monet, Turner creates a new painting that dissolves forms in a quivering of atmosphere and light. The Painter's Daughters Chasing a Butterfly by Thomas Gainsborough, an unfinished painting but touching nevertheless. French Painters Gallery. Portrait of a Woman by Peronneau, French School, pastel on paper. Horace Vernet, my ancestor, magnificent, this landscape at sunset. A canvas by Joseph Vernet, my great-great-uncle. The Triumph of Pan by Nicolas Poussin. A portrait, Madame Moitessier, by Ingres, who is also a violinist on the side, like myself. Monsieur de Norvin's portrait by Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, 1780 to 1876. The Billet Doux by Françoise Boucher. A beautiful landscape by Boucher, Françoise, a master of colour in the Age of Enlightenment. The Battle of Genappe by Horace Vernet, one of the victories of the French Revolution. Horace Vernet, The Battle of the Hanau, which took place in 1813, the beginning of the end for Napoleon despite this victory. Watson, come quickly.
What is it, Holmes? What have you found?
A painting by my great-uncle Horace Vernet. I had forgotten that his work could be found here. It is certainly this ancestor to whom Lupin made reference in his letter. Such talent, don't you think?
Who? Lupin?
No, Vernet. Albeit Lupin also, but in a different field. The Emperor Napoleon I, or Bonaparte as we English prefer, painted by Horace Vernet. The Scale of Love by Jean-Antoine Watteau. Born in 1684, died in 1721, French painter, one of the first in the Rococo style, inspired by the Commedia dell'arte, who loved to depict theatre and festivities in his paintings. Perfect Harmony by Jean-Antoine Watteau. A canvas by Nicolas Poussin that tells of the discovery of Moses. Very nice. The Adoration of the Golden Calf by Nicolas Poussin, a classical French painter from the 17th century who spent most of his productive career not in Paris, but in Rome, on the fringes of the prominent schools of the era. Jacques Cazot, portrait by Jean-Baptiste Perronneau, born around 1715, died 1783. The Spanish Painters Gallery. An Apostle, Giuseppe de Ribera, 1591-1652. This canvas by Tiziano Vecellio, better known as Titian, is an allegory of prudence. It reads, "From the past, the man of the present acts prudently so as not to imperil the future." Wise advice. The Lamentation over the Dead Christ by Giuseppe de Ribera, a Tenebrist painter. A lovely painting by Murillo. Impressive. The Adoration of the Name of Jesus, El Greco, 1541-1614, Spanish painter from Crete, belonging to the Mannerist school. La Tela Real by the great Spanish master Diego Velázquez, 1599-1660, painted from the golden century of Spain. It depicts a royal boar hunt. The Vendramin family, venerating a relic of the True Cross by Titian, a Venetian paper, died in 1576, leader of the 16th century Venetian school of the Cinquecento. Jacob with a Flock of Laban by Giuseppe de Ribera, also called Lo Spagnoletto, or the Little Spaniard because of his height. Christ healing the paralytic at the pool of Bethesda by Murillo, one of the most important figures in Baroque painting in Spain during the 18th century. Christ driving the traders from the temple, canvas by the Spanish master El Greco. A Peasant Boy Leaning on a Sill by Bartolomé Esteban Murillo, 1617-1682. The Toilet of Venus by Diego Velázquez, who was considered, along with Francisco Goya and El Greco, as one of the greatest artists in all of Spanish history. German Gallery. The painter's father, Albrecht Dürer. He's probably seen happier days. A Grenache. Grenache's style has such ambience, he depicted well the total lack of fantasy. Portrait of a Woman by Lucas Grenache the Elder, 1472 to 1553, official painter of the Saxony court. Charity by Lucan Cranach the Elder, canvas loaned to the museum. St. Catherine of Alexandria, in good company, painted around 1450 by Stefan Lochner, a hand shutter of an altarpiece presented in 1863 by Queen Victoria at the Prince Consort's wish. St. Paul on Malta by Adam Elsheimer, 1578 to 1610. The Ambassadors, 1533 by Hans Holbein the Younger. In the foreground we can see a distorted skull, a symbol of mortality. The Virgin and Child by Albrecht Dürer, 1471 to 1528. Painter, mathematician, and foremost, an engraver, a virtuoso of the Buren. Ooh, Judith in the Tent of Holofernes by Johann Lis, 1595 to 1631. What will she do with that head? Tobias and the Archangel Raphael by Adam Elsheimer, German painter. The Archangel should ask what kind of bait he used. This canvas was acquired in 1894 by the National Gallery. It was based on a composition he had previously done. A work that just exudes the joy of living by Lucas Cranach the Elder. Canvas by Adam Elsheimer, the most famous German painter at the beginning of the 17th century.
I said I didn't want to be disturbed.
It seems that we've found the famous ledger. It's written in shorthand and there are hundreds of entries. Let's bring it to the archivist.
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
Here is your ledger, my friend.
You found it! Many thanks. You won't say anything to Sir Pointer.
Rest assured, are you familiar with how the entries are written? Everything seems to be abbreviated.
I understand how to locate a thematic group and how to read a description, but I am struggling with the location codes.
It's better than nothing at the moment. We're searching for a painting that has a connection to the Battle of Trafalgar.
Depicting what exactly?
According to this poem, it could be...
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
It might refer to a boat. Its master was Admiral Nelson, and the thief wanted to run it aground. Moreover, the boat would have a French name.
Wait, I have a suggestion. A very popular painting, symbolic even, the Fighting Temeraire, a Turner. In this painting, Turner is described as having mastered painting techniques, and it is one of the most beautiful English paintings of all time. The subject, a boat by the French name of Temeraire, was involved in the Battle of Trafalgar and distinguished itself by protecting Victory, the flagship on board which was...
Victory, did you say?
Yes, Admiral Nelson was on board. Temeraire received a special distinction, but I am not certain of which. The painting shows it being towed to the breaker's yard, I believe.
Where would I find it?
I don't know. You would have to search through the English works of this century near the west section of the gallery.
My thanks, Palinor. Come, Watson, let's take a look at the painting. The Fighting Temeraire. Splendid. What do you think?
I agree, it's splendid. The existence of this painting would seem to give credit to this whole affair.
As long as this painting remains on this wall, this letter, even if it is eloquent and provocative, is nothing more than a letter. It is possible that all of this could be a hoax with no substance whatsoever. We will know soon enough, as the theft will have to take place tonight.
We must warn the museum's director, Holmes.
You are correct, Watson. Shall we?
Fantastic! Superb!
There, Maestro. I believe that everything is settled.
This collaboration will be my crowning glory, my masterpiece. Merci!
I have finished the inventory of the works of art, Director. Oh, and I have the pleasure of introducing the great detective Sherlock Holmes and his companion, Dr. Watson.
Good day, gentlemen. It's with pleasure that I welcome you to our gallery. I trust that you are here for pleasure and not business.
I am afraid that is not the case.
Oh,
When it is no longer a matter of art, the artist must make his excuses. Messieurs, until we meet again, no need to accompany me. I know the way.
my apologies, gentlemen. Have you been waiting long?
Mr. Palinor was able to answer all of our most urgent questions. Tell me, who was that man who just left?
That was Horace Velmont, a French painter. One of the best, seemingly. His letters of recommendation come from some of the grandest salons in Paris.
A Frenchman? Let's take a look, Watson.
Yes, he's very avant-garde. He heard that we were showing the works of modern painters during our temporary exhibitions. He has loaned us a number of paintings and has promised to donate those that have the greatest success to the museum.
Lestrade, just in time. And the Frenchman, Watson?
Gone?
Director, this is Inspector Lestrade from Scotland Yard. Lestrade, this is the Director of the National Gallery, Sir Pointer, and his assistant, Mr. Palinor. Lestrade, would you have your constable on duty guard the entrance and make sure that nobody comes into the museum? Director, is there anything else?
No, but
If you would care to follow me, I'll show you what the motivation behind all of this is. The reason for this little gathering is this letter that I received at my lodgings this morning. Without getting into too much detail, it claims that this painting, The Fighting Temeraire, will be stolen tonight.
pardon?
There now. It's because of a letter that you've disturbed me. You believe that?
I would never have taken the liberty to disturb you if this letter, the authenticity of which I must admit hasn't been completely confirmed, was not written by the one and only Arsène Lupin.
Arsène Lupin?
Arsène Lupin?
Us? Arsenal? Who? Lou? What?
Arsène Lupin, the most wanted cat burglar in the world. We will know soon enough whether or not this letter is a fake, or if I had reason to disturb you, Lestrade. But you must understand that we couldn't take even the slightest chance.
Perhaps. Why not simply put this thing under lock and key in the bank or at Scotland Yard?
We cannot risk storing the painting in an improper environment or to entrust it to anyone who calls it a thing.
All that would achieve would be to shift the problem. This painting is priceless. Beware he who would harm it. What I propose, Lestrade, is to do a tour of the museum with Sir Pointer in order to check any possible points of break and entry, and leave 2 men on duty here tonight. In addition, Director, you must close the museum to the public and not let anyone else in.
If you feel it's necessary.
And you, Holmes?
I'll pass by tomorrow at dawn. We'll know then what we're up against. Should the unthinkable have occurred, I insist that nothing is touched until I arrive. Is that clear? Let's be off, Watson.
Listen, Inspector, I have a lot of work to take care of. It would be better if I leave you to do a tour by yourself. You are, after all, a professional. Here are the keys to all of the locked doors. If you need me, I'll be in my office.
Well, I best inspect the museum to find any of Lupin's possible exits, including mice holes. We need a cannon to force this door down. The lock is too big to be jimmied, and I'll leave a man on duty in place. If Lupin does come, it won't be that way. No, no exits on this side, nothing to report. It's dark in this box room. Good. No windows, no possible entry. Ha! There is a possible entry. If someone wanted to descend from the roof here, he'd need a lot of time, and it wouldn't be a quiet business. But I'd be wise to leave a man on duty here, and he will signal the alarm at any suspicious movement coming from the roof. Arsène Lupin. It's you and I now. No, no exits on this side, nothing to report. No, no exits on this side, nothing to report. No, no exits on this side, nothing to report. I will make sure there are no windows, and therefore ways in. Here.
Do your work. I will draw a map for you, Inspector.
Wait for tonight. There. The director and his underling have left. Time for us to play now. It could be that this whole robbery is nothing but nonsense. If not, we're prepared. And this Lupin will play right into our hands. I'll lock the main door to the museum, and you will be locked in. Jeffries is on duty in Trafalgar Square, and the yard is nearby. Nothing to worry about there. The doors leading in will be locked, but you will each have everything you need to open them. Stay hidden and cover your light so you cannot be seen from the roof. You, Lockhart, will be stationed near the painting itself. At the least provocation, go down to the entrance and sound the alarm. The walls are too thick, so you will have to go down for your whistle to be heard. In case of real trouble, be sure to fire with deadly accuracy, because if you even graze one of the paintings, your great-grandchildren will still be paying off your debts. Finally, you'll just have to be content with your lanterns. Gas is too expensive. Let's go, men. Keep your wits about you. You'll be relieved at 4 a.m. Go on, you cantankerous codger. You have work to do.
You're right, Holmes. The constable below was indeed asked to deliver us a letter. It's from Lestrade.
Nothing good can come from such urgency.
Indeed, Holmes. This time, without doubt, the painting has disappeared. According to what he's written, they've turned the National Gallery upside down looking for it. Our presence is required immediately.
Well, Watson, the game is afoot.
Should we not have enlisted more men from the force to protect the painting?
I think that a whole brigade could not have stopped Lupin. And, of course, we can now be certain that it was he who was behind the theft. First and foremost, the police have a city and lives to protect, and we must respect that. Watson, a hansom will be hard to find at this hour, and Billy, our page, is sick. Would you be so good as to flag one down while I take a moment to reread this letter?
Yesterday, I was a doctor, and now I become a valet.
Got a light?
No, sorry.
Is it Sherlock Holmes who lives in these digs here?
Indeed.
Know him?
I do have that honour. I have been of some assistance to him on occasion. Like locating hansoms, for instance.
I say, you're his valet. So tell me, does your master pay well then?
But
I bet you're not above winning a bob or two, am I right? Listen, my friend, word has it that your boss is going to have a right fright tonight at the Picture Museum.
How?
Shh, listen, my good man. If you want to fill your pockets, here's my card. Piers Urquhart Allen, that's my name. Independent reporter's the game. Spill the beans about his biz, and I'll pay you well. Look for me in one of the pubs round here. You can't miss me.
If Holmes finds out that the press is onto this business, he'll be in an explosive mood. Best to avoid speaking about it. Ah, no. First, I must find us a hansom. Ah, a hansom. Now to find Holmes and make our way to the National Gallery.
You've arrived at last, Holmes. We haven't touched anything while we were waiting, except for a ladder which we needed to climb onto the roof. You must have received my message. The painting was stolen.
Did your men see anything?
To tell you the truth, barely anything. There was nothing they could do. The only thing we know for certain is there were two people of athletic build who perpetrated this crime. We don't know if the burglars stole anything other than the painting in question, as they completely redecorated the museum with the paintings of a French artist that were at the entrance to the museum. The paintings that were on the walls are now crammed in the director's office.
Do you have any idea what happened?
Well, not really. I haven't managed to figure it out. We know that the two men exited through the window in the restoration workshop, and that the second man entered through there. But the first man was already in the museum before his accomplice. Yet I had a man in the restoration workshop all yesterday afternoon, and he only left for a minute in order to hear my orders. At no time could the first man have entered through the window. We would have either seen or heard him. The men on the premises confirm they didn't see anyone pass through the entrance until the alarm was sounded. And those two are the only possibilities. How did this man get into the museum, I ask you?
When you have eliminated the impossible, Lestrade, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Where are the director and his assistant?
They're both in the office. Go gently with the director. He's close to having a fit. By the way, I noticed some traces of paint or something all over. I've asked everyone to avoid trampling on them until you've had a chance to examine them.
You're making wonderful progress, Lestrade.
Well, I'll go question the neighbours to see if anyone might have seen a 17th century boat descend from the roof.
Watson, accompany Inspector Lestrade. Check out the roof and help out with the interrogations. Be on the lookout for the slightest detail could gain us some precious time.
You can count on me, Holmes.
It's a combination lock, a French brand. It looks extremely solid. Impossible to open it without knowing the combination. The paint tracks come from the interior of the museum and stop there. It's curious, but I'd wager that the man who left these footprints rested here a moment while facing the wall and looking at something. Yet these paintings aren't exceptional in the least. Footprints, look. Size 10. Size 10. This footprint is quite clear, like a footstep pressed. This footprint is rather light. The man who left these footprints made a return trip. He was carrying something heavy when he climbed the stairs. Paintings, certainly. It's through there that one of our robbers arrived, and it's also through there that they must have escaped with the help of a ladder. Footprints, look! These footprints are size 9. The foot brushed the paint. Someone wanted to warn the person who made the footprints of the presence of liquid on the ground, but too late. The man then went beneath the louver of the window to get out, probably with the help of a ladder. He was wearing shoes from France with supple leather non-skid soles, which have a distinctive design. The person who left these footprints stepped into the paint with his whole foot. Size 10. These footprints are those of common work boots. Ideal to catch by jumping from this skylight. These tools are for restoring paintings.
Ah, Mr. Holmes, such a tragedy. Have you seen what these crooks have done to my museum? Paintings of incalculable value thrown in a heap like hay in a haystack. And the Fighting Temeraire.
Now, calm down, Director. Do you know if they took anything other than this painting?
The director and I are in the middle of doing an inventory of all the paintings that were moved. We are not certain yet.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good. We'll be here if you have any further questions. Come, Palinor, back to the inventory.
I'm overwhelmed by this inventory.
Footprints, look. These footprints are size 9. These are shoes with supple, non-skid leather soles of French manufacture with a distinctive design. These are, without doubt, the shoes of the French painter Horace Velmont. The footprints left by Horace Velmont's shoes and those made by one of the two crooks are absolutely identical. Lupin is a master of disguise. We met him in person yesterday as Velmont.
What do you want, Mr. Holmes? The only one who will be happy is Velmont. His paintings now have the best spots.
I'd wager he's doubly happy, but he'd never come to show his gratitude in person.
Ah, And when will you be done with your investigation, so that we can put the paintings back in their original places?
A deadline will soon be set, I think. However, it is in our best interest to do it as quickly as possible. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good. We'll be here if you have any further questions. Come, Eleanor, back to the inventory.
A large red square was painted on the floor, most likely by Lupin, but to what end? What horrors! There is something here. A trace of black rubber. 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 These 4 traces of black rubber are identical and form a square. What horrors!
What do you want, Mr. Holmes?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good.
Water.
Can I borrow this lamp?
Unfortunately not. This room is poorly lit and we need it to work. Perhaps a bit later.
There is something strange on the ceiling. I'll have to climb up to examine it, but Lestrade's men are using the ladder. I'll continue to inspect the museum while I await them.
Mr. Holmes, Inspector Lestrade wanted you to know that we no longer need the ladder. If you want it, it's near the director's office.
I need something. Elementary. This poem by Lupin surely makes reference to 4 paintings presently hanging in the museum. Shall we begin our search? This painting depicts the gods Venus and Mars by Botticelli. This painting was exhibited for the first time in 1874 in the National Gallery. Look, a white horse standing by a sleeping man by Peter Verbeek, possibly derived from a 1652 print by Paulus Potter. A winter scene with skaters near a castle by Averkamp, 1585 to 1634, one of the greatest painters from the Dutch school of the 17th century. He specialized in winter scenes. The painting originally extended into a square shape. Tobias and the Archangel Raphael by Adam Elsheimer, German painter. The Archangel should ask what kind of bait he used. This canvas was acquired in 1894 by the National Gallery. It was based on the composition he had previously done. It seems that I have found the 4 numbers from Lupin's poem. Now, what do I do with them? Open. Open. A half-empty bottle of champagne, to pass the time, no doubt. A wig and a cushion, for the stomach, no doubt. There is also Velmont's cap and clothing. This is what must have happened. Lupin entered the museum disguised as Velmont. After our meeting, he pretended to leave, but in fact came to hide in the case that Palinor had emptied whilst doing his inventory. A hook permitted him to close the case from the inside, and he calmly waited until the time was right. Once alone, he got out and helped his accomplice enter through the skylight without fearing the police. It's the painting by my great-uncle. Look, there is a paper attached.
What do you want, Mr. Holmes? The only one...
I'd wager he's...
Ah,
A deadline... Thank you, gentlemen.
good.
Can I borrow this lamp?
Unfortunately...
What horrors! Looking at this canvas, the French painter must have drawn his inspiration from the famous French cheese Camembert. They both stink. Self-portrait by Horace Velmont. A bit narcissistic, that one. This painting has an oil base, but is covered in a fine coat of water paint. I should ask the director how to remove it.
What do you want, Mr. Holmes?
Sorry to disturb you, gentlemen. Can you explain how to remove a fine layer of water paint that is covering an oil painting? Rest assured, it does not concern a piece from the museum's collection.
It's simple. You'll need some water to soften the paint, a paintbrush with rigid bristles to scrape off the film, and an absorbent sponge to take it all off.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good.
Water. You and I, Lupin. I need something. I need something. There is a bright red C written on this calling card in addition to a poem. This letter must be the beginning of a word or phrase. Now to find the others. There must be something here. Stay alert now. A piece of the frame is breaking off. Elementary. It's too dark in here. I don't see anything. I am in need of a lamp. Can I borrow this lamp?
Yes, we are almost finished. Isn't that right, Palinor?
I need something. This bucket contains something extremely heavy. I can't move it. A bucket with a red perimeter. Not bad. There is something here. It's Pointer, the museum director, who's on display here. Amusing. A canvas by Joseph Vernet, my great-great-uncle. A canvas by Joseph Vernet, my great-great-uncle. A canvas by Why, these two paintings appear identical. Haha, Lupin seems to be setting the example. I am in need of a lamp. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. I will recopy all of that to better study it. This must be one of the 9 canvases. They're hanging art. They're hanging art made by 3-year-olds. We could probably do without. They're hanging up. 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 They're hanging. What horrors! I have all 9 paintings now, I think. Think. No message proposes another riddle. I must have found all of the clues. However, I haven't made any progress. Perhaps the director might know more.
So, Mr. Holmes, the day is drawing to a close. Can I finally reclaim my museum?
Tell me, director, does this word mean anything to you?
Coronis? Yes, we have a painting entitled Apollo Slaying Coronis. It's an old painting. Let me show you. Eleanor?
Here it is.
This painting is rather simple and doesn't seem to be hiding anything special. Can you tell me the history of this piece?
It was created in approximately 1617 by Domenichino and his assistants. It doesn't belong to us, but is on loan temporarily by its owner. It represents the god Apollo using an arrow to slay his lover, Coronis, because of her infidelity.
That's all?
Yes, that's all.
Well, Holmes, where are we? It's dark outside. I can't keep going any longer. Not one witness within a half-mile in any direction. It would seem the men disappeared like ghosts.
What is the note that you're holding?
Oh yes, a constable asked me to bring it to your attention. It could be from Lestrade, as we were separated over an hour ago. Incredible. Lestrade has also started using poetry.
This note didn't come from Lestrade, Watson. It's Lupin who sent it. Mr. Pointer, what could he mean by a black shadow and not in the painting?
Yes. In the legend, it's Apollo's bird, a raven, who reveals Coronis's infidelity to him. Thus, the raven, who is at the heart of the matter, is curiously absent from the painting.
Anyway, our latest message from Lupin states, tonight, 6 more missing. Do you have the map of London with you, Watson? Get it for me if you would.
Yes, Watson, the Tower of London Ravens. If ever the Ravens leave the Tower of London, the British Empire will fall. Lupin wants to capture them. Watson, there isn't a moment to lose. Find a hansom while I leave some instructions for the director.